Well, so the point of meditation is putting a little bit of space between stimulus and response. And again, none of us are perfect. We're all human. But now everything I'm going to say for the next however long is going to basically probably be direct quotes from Sam Harris. So I'm not plagiarizing. It's impossible to stay mad for more than a couple seconds unless you are actively thinking about why you're mad. It's just literally impossible. And so when you get mad, it is totally up to you how long you stay mad for. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. I mean, again, I've gone through a pretty nasty divorce from my first wife, and I was mad for years. And it's like looking back at it, it's like you were only mad because you were ruminating about stuff that had already happened. And that's the point of meditation. That's the point of Tiger. He was on when he had his wreck a couple of years ago out in LA. He was out there actually doing these playing lessons with different celebrities. And the one that yeah, and then well, the one with Jada Pinkett Smith, I suggest everybody go watch on YouTube. Jada Pinkett Smith, Tiger Woods, it'll come up. But about 5 minutes into it, she says, "You know, you're just so calm out there. You just seem like you're playing in like in this, like hypnosis, meditating or something." He's like, "That's exactly what I'm doing." He's like, "I'm playing golf in a meditative state." And I'm like, finally, I mean, I knew through Como, obviously, and that he is a big meditator, but I just still didn't know what he did or does or how long or whatever. And so this was the first time that I'd ever actually heard him just explicitly say it. I played in the 1999 US Open. There's my little memorabilia from it. And I swear to God, most of the guys in the field literally thought he was playing golf like hypnotized, like pocket watch hypnotized. And it's like, oh no, he was just playing like the zone is actually just a moving meditation, like Tai Chi or something. And so she's like, "Oh, that's cool." I mean, he's like, "I'm playing golf in meditative state." So, 5 or 6 minutes later in the video, they've now got this little snack station set up. And she's like, "Well, so what are your hobbies outside of golf?" And he's like, "I like to free dive." She goes, "Oh, really? That's interesting. Like, how deep do you go?" And he's like 70 or 80 feet. And she's like, "Oh, shit, you're a real free diver." And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, why do you like doing that?" He's like, "Well, it gets back to that meditation we talked about earlier. It gets back to if you're 70 feet underwater and something goes wrong and you don't have air, you better not freak out. You better control your heart rate. You better control your mind. I was about to say control your breathing. You are controlling your breathing because you're not going to breathe. You better figure it out." And and then this is the key. She says, "Oh, well, so how long have you been meditating?" And he just kind of smirks. He's like, "Since I was born." And I'm like, there you go. And unfortunately, like nobody's going to catch up to him. I mean, it's just not going to happen. People ask me, when's the next Tiger Woods coming? And I'm like, I don't know. When's the next Vietnam coming? Because Earl met Tita in Vietnam. A Green Beret army guy is not meeting a Buddhist contemplative woman on Bumble. Those profiles aren't passing each other. They are not swiping right or whatever you do on Bumble to each other. And so it was the perfect combination of Earl is a disciplinarian. And honestly, I've definitely come to learn that Tita was as much of a disciplinarian also that Earl was. But his Buddhist values, and again, I'm not a religious guy, but if you said gun to your head, you got to choose one, I would definitely choose Buddhism. Um, just solid Stoic Buddhist thinking is a pretty solid path to go. Um, and it's just, again, it's just amazing when you hear a guy like that say it. He's just in control of his thoughts. And as a final statement on that, when after the shit hit the fan with his car wreck and not the first car wreck, the first car wreck with all of his issues. The first interview he gave was with Tom Rinaldi on the back porch at Lake Nona, and Tom first question is just like, "What happened?" And Tiger's answer was, and I would love to know if Tom was like, "This is gonna be your first question," because it would be interesting to know if this was a spur of the moment answer or a thought out answer. But Tiger said, I lost track of my Buddhist values. I lost track of my meditation practice. I just started thinking I was more than I actually am. I just did not hold true to my core values that got me to where I am. And it's like, first thought was I stopped my meditation practice. Like He was just a train wreck, and that's where I feel like you can see it in his pre-shot routine, to circle back to what we were talking about earlier. You can see it in him on the golf course, and I mean, again, when he hit the shot on 16 in 2019 when he won the Masters, I've got a video on this in the Decade app. Like, the whole place is going crazy. And by the time, I mean, that thing almost went in the hole. Like, if that had gone in the hole, I'd have been like, okay, this is a simulation. Like, this is totally ridiculous. I mean, this is absurd. But this shot comes in, skirts right across the front of the hole, finishes 2 or 3 feet, whatever it was. And by the time this ball stopped and the camera got back to him, the whole place is going crazy. And he's just standing there, just as stoic. There's zero doubt in my mind he's actively meditating right there. He is just following his breath, whatever it is you want to call it. But he was on another planet right there. I mean, in his brain, he was literally on another planet.